Okay. Guten Abend. Good evening. Ich hoffe, es geht dir gut. I hope you are doing well. Ich bin vielen Dank. I am grateful. Mir es geht gut. I am good. Heute Abend wird es interessant. Tonight it is going to be interesting. So, I had an experience in Grenada that was both comedic in some sense and at the same time very telling and revealing. Now, I happened to take a trip around the island. Okay, I was driving around, hanging out, exploring some sites, and I had some in-laws with me. And one of my in-laws, who actually lives in Grenada, didn't hesitate at every opportunity and moment that she got to point out to me the light poles, and she would say it like this, in a local colloquialism. She'd say, "You see the solar lights? You see the solar lights?" And it was so funny because every time we passed a pole, she said, "Hey, you see the solar lights? You see the solar lights?" So it was pretty interesting. I mean, I got it the first time that, hey, whoa, solar lights, nice. But she continued throughout the trip and showed me everywhere there was a pole situated. So I got it. Okay. To me, the question I was asking myself, is this the first time Grenada has actually started implementing the use of solar power? I would believe not. Okay. But my in-law, and I love my in-law dearly, you don't get me wrong, did just totally overemphasize the presence of the solar lights. And to this day, I'm still having a little fun with it. But so my question is, I wanted to dig a little deeper into this, right? And let's have a little bit of, public disclosure. And let's ask a few questions about the poles and the solar lights and the genesis of the implementation of the solar lights. Let's try to find out what is the impetus, what is the reasoning behind implementing the solar lights. Is it because these guys are so concerned about the darkness in these particular areas? Oh, I don't know. Tell me, is it possible? Is it quite possible that this could be used as a poke barrel of sorts, as a way to reward intimate supporters, okay, of the present administration? Could that be the case? Well, you guys should be telling me. Let's have a little bit of disclosure on it. If you guys know about it and know what's going on, tell me. And I don't have a problem with poke barrel. I understand, it's politics. It's probably the nature of politics that you're going to pass a little something to people who are close to you, people who probably were your financiers, people probably who supported you. That's understandable. But in the scheme of things, what I have a problem with is if that passing of opportunity and money and work does not trickle down to the regular man. And I know you guys don't believe in trickle-down economics because you're a center-left party. So it doesn't matter what an individual says, but, we're going to help people out, and we're going to create jobs so that people can get jobs and all this long. So it doesn't matter what individuals say within a party. What matters most is the collective platform of the party. And the collective platform, I want Grenadians to understand that, is not trickle-down economics. You don't believe in entrepreneurs creating opportunities and companies and making money such that they can employ many people and that money can trickle down to the regular man, the poor and vulnerable and middle class that you claim to care so much about. That is not your economic policy. Unless, of course, you've changed from a center-left party to a center-right party. Because trickle-down economics is indigenous to a center-right party. It doesn't mean that they will not help those who need a little bit of lift up. But the doctrine, the platform of a center-right party is strap your boots up, be prepared to work. All right? We will facilitate the opportunity for you to get those jobs and get the economy going so that when the economy is going, everybody gets a piece of the action. Even the man at the bottom. And you might have heard, and I have heard, the leader of the NNP party say that exact thing. And he said it recently. He said, when the regular man has money in his pocket to spend, guess what? The economy booms and everybody gets a piece of the action. But how does a regular man have money in his pocket? He has to have either small business or he has to be provided with a job where he's salaried. So in the big scheme of things, you can't just decide to give your big comrades a lift up, and then the regular man and the middle class man is left to fend for himself or herself. It doesn't work like that. So you can give your comrades a decisive advantage, a handout of sorts, and the regular man, you want to cut back on every little thing that he has access to. There should be balance in what you do. That is not free market enterprise. That's state control entrepreneurship. That is not giving everybody an opportunity to bid on a contract. And I understand, again, if you want to keep the bulk of the contract for your peoples, that's understood. You say, you know what, we'll do a 60-40 split. 60% of the contracts will go to our peeps. But guess what? I got to throw a little something to the rest of the population. I got to let them, as you guys would say, eat our food too. But remember, you guys came and said, we're not into eating our food. We're not into that. But in the process of eating our food, everybody's got to eat a little bit of food. You got to spread it around a bit. These people have families. They have kids. You know, there should be balance in what you do. So let's get back to the solar lights. So the question is, how much of the implementation of that solar lights in these particular villages and communities, how much of that money is trickling down to people in those neighborhoods or villages where the lights are being implemented? How much young men and women within the neighborhood are being employed by the installation of these light poles? So, what economic benefit is being brought to these different neighborhoods where these lights are being implemented? Or, you tell me. This administration came in as one that was against nepotism. I mean, the previous leader, Dr. Keith Mitchell, got so much flack for nepotism and passing and eating of food and all of that. And the promise was that all of this is done with, that there will be transparency in bidding, that the work will be shared around. Well, I don't know. You guys know better than me. So who knows? Let's have a little bit of, public disclosure. Who got the contract for installing these lights? How much does it cost taxpayers to install these lights? As the saying always goes, let's follow the money. And I'm sure this should be public knowledge, right? This is taxpayers' money, right? Let's follow the money and let's see where the money goes. Just remember, in the colloquial saying, I hope y'all have guts more than Boli. Because for the amount of flack For the amount of things that was said by these media and podcast political hitters against the NNP and against Dr. Keith Mitchell. Okay? And he stood up like a man with a back of steel. So I hope, what do you call them? These Gen Zers and this new generation has strong back. And they could take challenges and they could deal with being questioned. And they could deal with flack, just as the amount that they gave to the NNP and to the leader thereof. Let's hope they don't cave. Let's hope they don't become arrogant. Let's hope they don't crawl up and hide in a corner and become like soy boys who can't take a little exposure or a little questioning of their actions. Because you know how you youngins get. You know how you youngins get. You have a sense of entitlement. And then you see all sorts of things that's happening in the world, and without regard to resource, human and physical and material resource, you just think you can do it. Like it's going to fall from the sky. It's going to come out of thin air. Because you've grown up with a little bit more, and you feel a sense of entitlement. But what you fail to realize, and I'm going to set you guys straight, what you fail to realize, everything that you inherited, everything that you're enjoying, the more that you have right now, that has made you some sort of entitled youngins, okay, has been built upon the backs of your parents and your grandparents. The things that they didn't enjoy and the things that you are enjoying right now was built on their backs. It didn't appear or it didn't come from thin air. And I want you to realize that. So when you enjoy what you enjoy, the much more, don't become entitled, but remind yourselves that you know what? All of this that I'm enjoying right now, somebody paved the way. My parents worked their asses off to create this or to facilitate the things that I'm enjoying right now. But there are some people who will encourage you to dishonor and to disrespect that road that your parents and grandparents forged for you. And they're seeping now, these encouragers, these upholders, as we used to call them back in the days. They did the same thing during the PRG. They did exactly the same thing. Encourage young men and women to dishonor and to disrespect their parents and their grandparents. And these people today who have infiltrated are trying to do the same thing. A matter of fact, they've took it a step further. They are trying to live, by manipulating everything, they are trying to live through their youngins who are part of the process. They know who they are. Because they failed miserably in what they were doing, they are trying to realize their failed dreams from 40 years ago in their children or some sort of connection to the current situation. So be careful. Be careful. Because you saw what youthful adventurism and recklessness leads to. But they themselves, in their thirst, in their zest, in their anxiety to realize what they couldn't realize or what they got a taste of and destroyed, are trying now to fulfill these dreams they had. Be careful with these people. Be very careful with them. Because, they're much older now. And they might be more cunning. So be careful with them. And age may be on their side, so they might be more anxious to try to achieve what they want to achieve. So that is dangerous. But I am here to encourage you otherwise. So let's get back to the sacrifices of your parents and grandparents who arduously worked to help you have a better life. Let's stay away from the reckless upholders. Many of them did without so that you could be educated, so that you could enjoy what they didn't enjoy. So, don't let those socialist Marxists who has infiltrated your party and who are so-called advisors in the background, they themselves some of them are a bunch of failures. And many of them are trying to live through you. So they're going to come like if they know so much. Many of them, based on their experience, based on what we've seen they've done, and how they've handled a government, and how they've handled a country, I wouldn't get them or hire them to build a foul coup. Okay? I wouldn't hire them to build a foul coup. So be careful who are advising you. Ask yourself if they're competent to advise you. Do the smell test. Ask yourself, what have they done that makes them capable of advising you? Let them show you practically what they've done. So if you're going to hire them to build a house, let them take you to a house that they have built. And let them find 2 or 3 witnesses which says indeed they have built that house before you hire them. Because they could come and masquerade and tell you they know this and they know that. And for those who don't really know, you might be taken in. So if they're giving you economic advice, if they're giving you safety and security advice, if they're giving you infrastructural advice, you must ensure that they are credible, that they know what they're saying and know what they're doing, especially practically, not theoretically. Anyone can read a book and, regurgitate something. But practice is key. Tangibly doing something is important. Everybody can say, I can do this. But put them to do it. And then you'll see who can and who cannot really do it. So the bottom line is this. People fire people or exit relationships in the hope that they are going to put themselves in a better situation. If you're in a bad relationship, you leave the relationship hoping that, okay, I stay with myself and build myself, or I get into a better relationship. People fire people, or companies fire people, or they have this favorite term where they delete people out of their life, because the hope is that they're going to leave you behind because they believe that you are not doing what you should have been doing for them, or they probably just want to change, like some said in the last election. But the hope is that the new relationship that you would have developed, or the new people who have come into your life, or who are responsible for you, or who are your leaders, should be doing better for you. Much better than you had. Because if they're just matching what you had, come on. And even worse, if they're doing worse for you. And then it's like any relationship. People will promise you things to lure you into that new relationship. If you had a past relationship or you're in a relationship, this whole concept of the pastures is greener on the other side. And there's such a interesting story about the dog that has the bone in its mouth, looks into the river, and sees a shadow of a dog with another bone, gets jealous, wants to have two bones, drops his bone in an attempt to grab the shadow of a bone. So there's that too. But the main thing is that people leave relationships and move on in the hope of doing better. And if while you were luring them to your side, you said, look, I am not going to abuse you, or I am not going to do to you what this person did to you in that particular relationship. I promise to be better. I will help you improve your life. So if you say, or you said, we're not dealing with nepotism, which is nearly impossible to do. So I don't think you should set yourself up for that, because of course, the nature of politics is such that there are people you're going to take care of. There are people who supported you financially, and they didn't do it for naught or otherwise. They themselves did it in the hope of their lives being improved. But let's say, okay, you pass a little something to the people who supported you. What is critical in that passing is ensuring that the regular man at the bottom, the middle class man, and the regular man at the bottom gets a little something in all of that. Because they constitute the mass of people. They constitute the majority of people. So if you were to only take care of the people closest to you and the people who supported you financially and, the powerhouses around you, you have a problem. It would be wise to take care of the majority of people. So they say, you know what? This new relationship is worth it. Wow, this is good. I am glad I got out of the old relationship. So, watch your nepotism. Watch the very things that you gave the last administration so much flack for. Don't end up coming and doing the same thing. So, a reminder again. Pay homage and respect to the people who paved the path for you. The people who came before you. Bless them too. Respect them too. Learn from them. Don't take it for granted that the things that you're enjoying right now just miraculously appeared. And we're waiting. We're waiting for a little disclosure on the Molyneux project and the amount of money that was spent on it. We're waiting for a little disclosure on the implementation of the lights and light poles. This is public knowledge. This is not hidden. We're also waiting on a little explanation about the 20 million plus that was spent in Jubilee. Up to now, the information is not clear on that, right? It would be nice to find out how that money was spent. You spent 20 million, okay, on Jubilee and dance and sing in a couple of drones and wowing the Grenadian masses in the name of independence. But independence from what and who? Who are you independent from? What true independence do you have? Real independence entails economic independence. Okay? Real independence entails safety and security and border protection independence. Real independence ensures your ability to take care of your children. And the children in this case is the Grenadian people. As a whole, the nation is the parent. The state is the parent. But what's the use celebrating, taking hard-earned money and spend it in Jubilee and fantasy, and then a couple of days after, reality has to step in? And the very people was all over the place dancing and saying, yo, we can dance and sing. We have so much dancing and sing. We can dance and sing for 1,000 years. There's so much party and so much opportunity to dance and sing. We could dance and sing for 1,000 years. But the backbone of the society, the actual financial safety and security, physical architecture of the society, social architecture, relationships, that is what expresses real independence. What's the use of spending 20 million on Jubilee and then soon after your land is flooded and trashed and your drainage system in your country cannot sustain the flooding that is expected? Just maybe some of that 20 million could have been put towards that, towards improving your drainage system in your country. Again, don't tell me about the previous administration didn't do it, because they did what they could have done. And as some of them said, they were in the process of doing more. So you can't talk about them. You got to talk, what is your plan? I am yet to see a plan for redesign of the drainage system in Grenada. Probably you have a plan. Let's know the plan. And this is not some monumental something. This is something that I even made a whole video about it. So, you bright people, you bright people, you youthful adventurers, you should have a plan. And on that note, I would say, guten Nacht. Good night.